Welcome to latest Iraqi Dinar updates, the channel where truth meets timing and insight becomes preparation. For years, our mission has been to offer clarity on what many believe to be one of the most significant financial shifts of our generation, the revaluation of the Iraqi dinar. And today we're not simply delivering another update. Today we are witnessing a declaration that has changed everything. The long-awaited moment has arrived. On national television, in a speech that gripped not only the Iraqi people, but viewers around the world, Iraqi Prime Minister Mohammed Shia al-Sudani made a powerful, unprecedented commitment. This wasn't a leak. It wasn't vague language or diplomatic hedging. It was a direct, official, and public promise regarding the revaluation of the Iraqi dinar. What began as a seemingly routine address quickly became historic. The Prime Minister had initially taken the stage to update the country on Iraq's progress, discussing economic reforms, fiscal planning, infrastructure development, and strides in regional trade. His tone was measured, his pace steady. But then, without warning, everything shifted. Sudani paused. His demeanor changed. His words became heavier, his message more resolute. And then, he looked into the camera, not just addressing his cabinet, not just the people of Iraq, but the entire world. What followed was a declaration that Iraq's time of economic subjugation was over. He stated clearly and with conviction that the era of dependency had ended and that a new chapter, built on dignity, financial sovereignty, and economic self-respect, was beginning. At the center of this transformation, he said, was the true restoration of the Iraqi dinar's value. It was not just a currency, he explained. It was a symbol of national identity, one that had been undervalued, manipulated, and misunderstood for too long. And then came the statement that sent shockwaves around the globe. Before the end of the current fiscal quarter, Iraq would release, implement, and internationally recognize a new exchange rate for the dinar. The reaction was immediate and electric. In Iraq, the news spread like wildfire. Citizens poured into the streets waving flags, praying aloud and embracing each other, overwhelmed with emotion after years of economic hardship, uncertainty, and speculation. For many, this was not merely a political announcement, but a validation of their hope and endurance. Online clips of the speech went viral. Hashtags related to the revaluation began trending not only in Iraq, but across the Gulf, in Europe, and the United States. Financial forums lit up. News outlets scrambled to confirm what many had long awaited, but scarcely believed would come to pass so publicly. Inside Iraq, the government response was immediate and coordinated. National broadcasters launched special programming to analyze the announcement, while economic experts were brought in to interpret what it meant for Iraq and the global financial system. The Central Bank of Iraq and the Ministry of Finance issued formal notices confirming that preparations for the rate release were in their final stages. Banks across the country extended their hours in anticipation of a wave of customer activity. People began arriving with questions, seeking guidance, and planning for what would be the most consequential monetary shift in modern Iraqi history. On the stock exchange, trading volumes surged as investors moved quickly to position themselves ahead of the formal revaluation. But perhaps the most notable responses came from outside Iraq. For years, many global institutions had remained cautiously silent on Iraq's currency situation. That changed. The International Monetary Fund acknowledged Iraq's fiscal discipline. The World Bank praised the transparency and structure of the government's economic initiatives. And in neighboring countries, central banks began reviewing and renegotiating trade terms in anticipation of Iraq's new valuation. Even in the United States, reports began circulating of quiet, behind-the-scenes adjustments. Major financial institutions, including Tier 1 banks such as Wells Fargo, Chase, and Bank of America, were said to have received internal notifications preparing their systems for updated IQD exchange rates. Private banking clients reportedly received discreet alerts signaling potential changes ahead. What became clear was that this moment had not emerged from nowhere. It was part of a long-term, carefully orchestrated strategy. For months, even years, the Iraqi Central Bank had been working in close partnership with international allies to stabilize the economy, control parallel markets, and ensure that both legal frameworks and technical infrastructure could support a revised exchange rate. Auditors had verified reserves, systems were upgraded, training had been provided for banking professionals, and the public had been slowly and subtly prepared through national messaging campaigns to anticipate a significant shift. This wasn't political theater. This was a culmination of real economic recalibration, guided by data, driven by necessity, and reinforced by a global environment increasingly moving toward asset-backed, transparent, and digital-ready monetary systems. Iraq had reached a point where the gap between its economic power, bolstered by strong oil exports, gold reserves, and regional independence, and the artificially suppressed value of its currency could no longer be ignored. For those who have held Iraqi dinar, sometimes in quiet conviction, often in the face of ridicule and doubt, this moment is historic. You were told it would never happen, that the country was too unstable, that the dinar was worthless, that all of this was rumor and hype. And yet, here we are with the Prime Minister of Iraq standing in front of the nation and the world, affirming what so many believed in. Still, with great opportunity comes great responsibility. This is not the time for impulsive action. Now is the time for careful review. If you hold Iraqi dinar, use this moment to secure your holdings. Document your notes. Make copies. Understand where and how you plan to exchange. Learn the systems, particularly when it comes to tiered redemption processes, tax implications, and legal protections. Speak with trusted financial professionals. Do not engage with third parties offering unrealistic deals or asking for unnecessary information. There is no need to rush. Sudani's announcement has given you time. Use it wisely and act with strategy and purpose. It's also important to recognize that this announcement was not the work of one man. It was the result of collaboration with regional allies, global economists, and powerful financial coalitions. Iraq's revaluation is part of something larger, a broader global shift away from manipulated markets and toward transparent, asset-backed systems that prioritize stability and sovereignty. The Iraqi dinar may be the first, but it likely won't be the last. Other nations are watching closely. Some are already preparing to follow. What we're witnessing isn't just about Iraq. It's about a rebalancing of the global financial order. As we move toward the confirmed date, expect even more developments. Watch for updates from Iraq's central bank. Monitor reputable financial news sources. Pay attention to changes in international banking systems. And most importantly, stay connected with us here at latest Iraqi dinar updates. Our role is more important than ever, to filter out the noise and deliver only the most accurate, fact-based information available. This is what we've built toward. This is why this community exists. Not just to talk about a currency, but to witness history, to be part of a movement grounded in truth, informed by data, and inspired by the resilience of a nation rising. Today isn't just about a financial shift. It's about hope returning, dignity being restored, and destiny beginning to unfold. Sudani's words weren't merely spoken, they were felt. And now the world is listening.